Welcome back to Isekai Quartet Anime Review Episode number 4. We are here reviewing the 26th episode of Isekai Quartet, known as Lurking Eminence. Now, this episode doesn't have a lot of the previous characters that were seen in the previous season. Now, in the case of Rise of Hero, the three main ones, Nafumi, Raphtalia, and Philo, they're all in the episode. Except Felix has basically like maybe 1 or 2 lines the whole episode. Raphtalia is next to Nafumi. You wonder who is not in the episode? Most of the ReZero cast. Yeah, the other ones here in this episode are, get this, Beatrice, Subaru, Amelia, Felt, and Reinhardt. That's it. For Tanya, like the Sagatama cast, just Tanya herself is here. Her soldiers are not in the episode, well, with the exception of basically Renegade. He big experience in a flashback. For Konosuba, we just have Subaru. We have yeah, I think it's Kanisuke. I think it's Subaru. Basically, is a Oh, Katsuma. Yeah, just Katsuma and Megumin. You're like, really? And there is... Oh, Chris appears in the episode, yes. But aside from those three, there is nobody else. For Overlord, just Ainz. There's a cameo by Mare. And Demiurge. Of course, we also see Lupus Regina, which of course is a reason why her and Gamma and Delta and Solution are all in the episode. Heck, even Zeta is in the episode too. Yep, they're all here. Which is interesting, they're all here because, well, there's a reason why. Because this particular episode, I would say the Shadow Girls, the Shadow 7 are all seen in the episode. And, of course, from what I can tell, they kept pretty much the entire upcast of all these girls. And so when they say, oh, hi, Alpha. And here's kind of the thing. Yuri Alpha. Yeah, they actually do call out the fact there's characters with similar names. Like, the Alpha of this group has got the same name as Yuri Alpha of the Battle Maids. Beta, like, is there one for that one? Yes. Lupus Regina, her last name is Beta. Yep. For Gamma. Yep, there is one named Gamma. Nabro Gamma. What about Delta? Yes. The Delta girl, much more character. Zeta. No. But aside from the fact we got a chance... Oh yeah, there's also Zelda too. So Solution talks about the fact she's a slime. And of course, yes, that is Michelle Redros basically. Never shows Mallory Roddick playing this character. Yep. Oh yeah, that is definitely her. Which I do love the fact they called the fact she's a slime, which is something that I should point out though they very rarely bring up about Solution, but great they do that. And of course, Natsuki decides, oh, why don't we do nicknames? And both Raphtalia and feels like, no, that's a terrible idea. In the case of the Battle Maze, that was given to them by their supreme beings, aka their creator and Ainz's friends. And in the case of the 7 girls, they actually got their names from, of course, basically Shadow. Okay? Yep. And aside from that, and of course, Shadow himself, we see in the episode, just Chad himself gets reincarnated, be Eminence Shadow. And then we see Ainz, Demiurge, Katsuma, and Tanya just on the high school rooftop, and there's Shadow just lying on top of the main entranceway, and he just passed by them. Meanwhile, though, we do see Megumin, Amelia, Subaru, and Beatrice. Beatrice, of course, is holding she's holding Subaru's hand, which of course, what they're referencing here, you mentioned, oh yeah, Beatrice will die. Yeah, that is a reference to the ending of season 2 of ReZero. I'm like, that is interesting. Because it seems like now, because basically season 2 is aired, they're integrating elements of that into this very season. Surprisingly, we're not seeing any of the witches appear here. Like, you can feature any one of them. Nope, they don't. You could say the thing about this episode is, oh yeah, also, Megami does her explosion. We get entered by Shadow, who wakes into the fireworks, and that's the episode. So, what was the real purpose of this episode? Just introducing the 7 Shadows to the cast, and also the fact they also say names to the cast Overlord. I'm sure that was probably by sheer coincidence, but I'm glad the fact they called it out here. But otherwise, though, great episode, and always great to see. And just by sheer coincidence, that today happens to feature 2 anime that Alexis Tipton is in. The other being my say is a hero. Obviously, he's the well. You're probably thinking, does Sarah Whitehoff, does she play a character in these shows? No, not think of no. Though, I'm going to continue pointing this out, though. Is that, well, from what I can tell, it seems like they have contacted Sentai Filmworks for permission to use the dubcast for Eminence and Shadow, because, well, they are streaming Eminence and Shadow on this website, so I guess they figured, though, why the heck not? Though, you're probably thinking, okay, because the fact is this is a crossover of the Kawaii Corporation, which, yes, so you're probably thinking, like, with this basically like like, could it be like any other potential series that could potentially cross with it? It is possible. Like I said, it is interesting the fact they even included this cast. Also, apparently this year this is just by sheer coincidence. Apparently this year is the 10th anniversary of the anime. So Crunchyroll has released a movie. You're like, wait, what? A movie? Yes, they released a movie to celebrate 10 years of the show, and it's being released here, I kid you not, the 17th of this month, which is a Monday. I have to ask, like, why in the world would they even want to do another movie? Could it be a recap of the show? It's something. I don't think it's Sacred Kingdom again. Not that I could think of, no. But as for why they decided to do this for, I don't know. I mean, you're probably thinking, like, okay, is this year 10 years of Konosuba? Like 10 years of the anime? No, that would be next year. Yes. You're thinking, okay, what about ReZero? Would next year be kind of the same thing for that one too? 10 years that one? Yes. Yes, indeed. Saga of Time and Evil. How long did episode of this anime air? 2017, roughly 8 years ago. Right, so here, I think this was 2019. The first season aired. Yes, 2019. So it's only been 6 years. Cautious Hero. Also 7 years as well. Eminence in the Shadows, probably the more recent one per se, given the fact it only aired just 3 years ago. Yes. And apparently, I'm going to have to basically watch the Isekai Quartet movie. Purely because basically, apparently, I guess this season takes place after this movie. Though, for some weird reason, I still do not understand basically the reason for this. Because anytime I've attempted to look up the show on Crunchyroll, their movie is still not dubbed. I'm thinking like, wait, the show is dubbed. Why isn't the movie? It's kind of the same thing with the Saga. I put this on Twitter when they announced that the dub is coming out last week. I said, good. Can you please release a dub of the movie too? But would Crunchyroll listen? Maybe not. But I do want to hear the dub again because basically the dubs of all these shows are fantastic in my opinion. Yep. So yeah, that's particularly a particular view. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe to notifications. Next up we have is A Gatherer's Adventure in Isekai, and then that's it for tonight. Okay, next video. Bye.